Hi everyone, this is Michael Sanders of the Michael Sanders Go Sees show, and as you probably know by now, maybe you don't actually, I interview the models who come and see me on Go Sees for shoots and work and jobs. And my lovely Go See of the day is none other than Alexandra Evankovich.
Yeah.
From Silent Models. Hello.
Hello.
Greetings and welcome to Tallulah's room here in the lovely Fort Greene.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. It's freaking freezing, or below freezing outside, isn't it?
Yeah, and with the wind, it feels like it's...
The wind chill is active.
Yeah.
I've been here in America now 14 years, and this to me feels like the coldest so far.
Yeah, I think it might be. Right before I got here was like the coldest week. I just got here like 2 weeks ago, and it was like, I don't know, I think they said it was like 5 degrees or something like that.
It's really been crazy.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how temperature's relative, because when you are used to minus, under freezing, sort of 20 degrees, 10 degrees, that when it gets to freezing, it feels warm.
Yeah.
Haven't you noticed that?
Yeah, and
it's all relative.
2 days ago, it was like almost 50 degrees.
Balmy.
And I was like, wow, it
Spring
feels
is
so
here.
Nice. My friends in Los Angeles are like, it was 55 and I was freezing because it's like 70 degrees there every day still.
All relative, always. So you are from LA.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me where you were born, what town?
Well, I actually originally am from Maryland.
Okay. That's more East Coast.
Yeah, it is. So it's just like a few states down from New York.
You were born in Maryland?
Yes, in a town called Silver Spring.
That sounds idyllic in a kind of suburban, all-American way.
Yeah, it's...
Green?
Yeah.
Pleasant?
Yeah, and I grew up in a suburb called Bowie, Maryland. It's
Wicked.
spelled like David Bowie.
Even better.
But it's Bowie.
That's so freaking cool. Because I think he named himself Bowie after the Bowie knife. There's a kind of knife called a Bowie knife.
Yeah.
And I think it must have been some kind of nod to American blues and shit.
Okay, yeah.
Right, as well. That's so interesting. So, what kind of town was it?
Just, I feel like a regular American suburb. Not too big, but small enough that, like...
You want to leave?
And my parents knew all of my friends' parents from, like, high school and stuff.
Oh, wow,
so,
shit. Multi-generational small town.
I had to get out.
You did. Everyone knew your business.
Yeah,
Okay, so
much.
Tell me about your parents. Who are they? What do they do?
My mother is a middle school teacher. She used to be a yoga instructor. And
that's fantastic.
And she's like a Reiki healer. So
Oh my God.
She's amazing.
Is she new agey?
A little bit, yeah. But like...
Do you know how she got into that shit?
It was after my parents are divorced. So after they got a divorce and we like switched churches from the Church of Christ to a Presbyterian church. And...
Was it a church-going community?
Somewhat. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Is that Christian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Did you have confirmation and were you baptized and all that stuff?
I never was.
Okay.
Both my brother and sister were baptized, but I'm the youngest, so I think my family kind of forgot.
By the time you came along, they were lapsed.
Yeah.
Well lapsed.
Yeah, and
Okay.
At that point, too, my mom had just started taking yoga classes at the church from another woman there, and then they joined together and actually opened a yoga studio for a short amount of time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I
So
do
that's
it now
cool.
twice a week.
Oh, awesome.
And a mum who's a yoga teacher who teaches at my daughter's school does it. And I approached her with a few other of the dads at school. So we have Broga. And it's 4 dads doing it.
Yeah.
We can't imagine any other way. She is
Yeah.
my guru and has improved the quality of my life
That's
immeasurably.
awesome.
Twice a week. I could do it 3 times a week. I could do it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday
Yeah.
with a weekend off,
Yeah.
running in between or whatever.
Yeah, that's
I'm
awesome.
yoga for life now.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So your mother still does that? to this day?
Yeah, she'll do more like private lessons and things and attend yoga classes, but she doesn't teach as much anymore because now she's back teaching at middle school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what age were you when your parents split up?
I was about 11, I think.
Okay. And how did that affect you? That was sort of tween.
Yeah, actually, sorry, I'm thinking of when they got remarried. I was younger than that.
They got remarried?
Yeah, so both my parents are remarried, and it's great because I honestly like can't even imagine them in a relationship anymore because they're like both very loving and understanding people, but they're like polar opposites.
Okay, so that was the source of the disharmony, that they were basically incompatible.
Yeah, but I think I was actually like 6 years old, like 6 or 7 when they split. And
then they got back together at 11? Or, no.
With different people.
Oh, I see, remarried. I thought you meant they remarried each other. And I got very confused.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Shit. No, they
both
married
remarried.
Other partners.
Yes.
Who are... Okay, so let's talk about so that was your mum. What about your dad?
My dad is from Ohio, so he's like very small town, Midwestern, born and raised. I think his graduating class was like the same kids from when he was in elementary school, and it was like 70 kids.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really interesting going and visiting his family in Ohio because they still talk about like the high school football team and like all kinds
deep
of like
Americana.
They know like everyone and everything in the whole town. Wow. It's very interesting.
Ohio is classical Midwest?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
And very important in presidential races.
Apparently so.
Right? I mean, it's always Ohio, and those are the sort of swing states, or something to do with that anyway, that it's extremely important to get Ohio.
Yeah, because I think it's usually, at least I feel like it's usually a very Republican state. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of like college towns and bigger cities still.
So did your dad go east to study? And that's how he met your mom?
My mom actually went west. Yeah, so they both met at Kent State University.
Is that famous? I've heard of it.
Kind of. There was a shooting there.
That's maybe why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God. In infamy.
But actually, my sister just graduated from there also.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so my father, after college, moved to Maryland so that they would be closer to my mother's family. And he and one of his friends started a in-home cleaning service.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was the Cleaning Authority.
Is that with water jets? I mean, what, steam cleaning? No, it's not steam cleaning.
No, it's just like if you wanted to have like maids come and like make your bed and sweep. And
an entrepreneur then.
Yeah. Yeah, so then he, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, sold that business and moved to Florida with his wife Jamie and started a senior placement company. So like
so retired people
and finding like the right kind of home for them.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. That's amazing. I'm looking for a home for my mum at the moment.
Oh, I'll give you my dad's number.
Yeah, but she lives in Richmond, back in England.
Oh, okay.
But otherwise I would have, definitely. So do you remember your parents together?
Very little. I remember like having family dinners and like holiday kind of things. Like I remember like a couple Christmases. But my memory is just really not that great.
I think it's the phones.
Yeah.
No, I do. I mean, I'm getting to the age where memory starts to go anyway, but being on the bloody iPhone all day
and
doesn't
having
help.
it like right next to your head.
Oh,
all
well,
the
there's
time.
that as well. There's all the microwave radiation damage to your brain. Can't help.
Yeah.
So your parents remarried, lovely people?
Yeah.
Did you grow up with step mums and dads?
Not really.
Did you just grow up with your mum?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then we would like go and stay with our dad like every other weekend. And
So you
have
knew him.
dinner
You had
once a
enough.
week.
You had enough contact with him that you knew your dad, and you weren't missing your dad in a sense.
Yeah.
He was there enough in your life.
And my parents were both really great about like still being respectful to each other in
That's
front
nice.
of us. Yeah, like
Nice to each other.
I never have seen them like yelling at each other
Wow.
or anything like that. They're like really great.
I read a report recently though that said actually that shouting and arguing in marriage can actually lend itself to a longer lasting marriage
Interesting.
because nothing's simmering and
Oh,
festering
yeah.
inside. People are able to express themselves freely.
That's
And
interesting.
I think it's quite good. In my case,
Relating
it works.
Then to my parents too,
Right,
you know,
right.
and
Maybe
how
the scene-
neither
maybe-
of them are yellers.
That's right, you see. And then it just cracks under the strain of repressed sadness, anger, resentment, frustration, or whatever.
Yeah,
They're not letting it out.
yeah.
Better to be with people who you don't need that doesn't
restraint,
exactly
yeah.
with. So let's talk about the zodiac of the family then, the zodiac signs.
Okay. My mother is an Aquarius,
Okay.
February, and my father is a Libra, October.
Okay,
So
now they're both air signs.
Yeah, both
Which
like
would-
go with the flow and very easy to like.
But I thought air signs were the mental signs, so they're all they're a bit in their head, slightly disconnected. I mean, intellectual
yeah,
thinkers.
they're both very smart, and I love going to them for advice because they always will have thought of something that I haven't, you know.
That's cool. They're thinkers, deep thinkers.
Yeah.
And what are
'cause
you?
I'm a Libra also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make you closer to your dad? In the way you approach things in life?
It's very interesting. Sometimes when I know that I have to talk to my dad, it'll almost feel like a business meeting.
Right.
Like I have to like say, okay, this is what we talked about last, and so this is what he's probably going to ask me about, and
Oh
this
my
is what
God.
I'm going to say.
Jesus, you guys
know?
are crazy in that second guessing business.
Yeah.
Right?
And then-
It's all what am I gonna say here to achieve that and then that, and it's
Yeah.
very a calculating kind of sign.
Yeah, but then when I talk to my mom on the phone, it's just like, oh yeah, you know, blah blah blah. Just like
No rhyme or
I
reason.
don't think about it beforehand, you know. But yeah, I would say that I'm probably a little bit closer with my mom just because I did like
Grew up
live
with
with
her.
her and grew up with her. But I still have like a really solid relationship with my father.
That's
which
cool.
is great.
Were you
yeah.
an only child or siblings?
I'm the youngest.
Oh yes, you mentioned.
Yeah, I have an older brother and then an older sister. Oldest sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So what does that mean in terms of the family birth order? The youngest gets away with everything. Is the baby, is the favored one.
Yeah, the entertainer.
Indulged.
I think so.
Got yeah.
My parents supported me like 100% when I was like, yeah, I'm gonna move to Los Angeles.
Okay, so let's
You
talk
know.
about that. So first of all, what kind of a kid were you? What were you like growing up? Were you pretty? Was the modelling inevitable? How did that happen? And when did you start thinking about that as a career? What did you want to do when you were a little child? Did you know?
I grew up dancing.
You were a
when I
dancer.
so when I was little, I wanted to be like a ballerina.
You did. What
And
age did you
then-
start your dance lessons?
Probably like 5.
Mm-hmm.
So it was before my parents had gotten divorced, and I started with my older sister,
Okay.
who's 4 years older than me.
She's a dancer too? Or did she...
She was, but
she
then
stopped.
she kind of, switched and started doing her own thing.
Okay. How are you guys as a... How is that growing up with a brother and a sister older than
Yeah.
you? Did you get beaten up?
No, thankfully. Although I do remember one time, because they were closer to each other than I was, because I was like the youngest, like
Yes.
tattletale kind of
Oh,
little
yeah.
sister. But I remember one time, like standing in the hallway upstairs with my brother, arguing about some like nonsense child thing, you know. And I was like, go ahead, like push me. And he was like, no, I'm not gonna push you. And I was like, do it. And so then he like pushed me and I fell, and then I started crying, and then he got in trouble for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's kind of like a
Dynamic? That is the dynamic.
summation of
Right.
at least me and my brother's relationship. And then me and my sister didn't start getting close until I was like older and started to like be a little bit more mature through like puberty and stuff.
That's what I always feared. When I was doing my research in the playgrounds after my daughter Tallulah was born, and we were inevitably at the age of 2-3 years old, I noticed that all the other mums were having second kids. So I did a poll of what it was like, and all of them sort of looked like they were like prisoners of war. Like they had a glazed look on their faces, like they were just trying to get through the day. That there was maybe a bit of light at an end of a very long tunnel. And all of them said, oh yeah, I wouldn't give the second back, but I think you're fine with one. Right? Now that they're here, but I always feared the idea, because they were always talking about, oh, let's have a sibling for the first, right? So it's enlarging the family, yes, but it's also justified in that it's a playmate, a sibling for the first child. And I always worried about exactly what you just expressed, which is that they're not going to get on at all, and it will be a hell of a family life. That they were always, because I also spoke to lots of people who had siblings, and they said exactly what you just did, which is, well, now that we're adult, or now, and I think to myself, well, that's 20 fucking years of their parents thinking, what the hell did we do here?
Yeah. I think both my parents probably had that thought for a second, like...
You didn't get on with your brother?
We did, but...
It wasn't as you would want it to be.
Yeah, at least as a child, because now me and him are, like, super close.
I see. Okay. Now, do you want kids of your own?
I do, although I'm nervous about, like, birthing children.
Yeah, the pain?
Because I almost killed my mom.
Right.
And, like, I just think that my body isn't necessarily, like, fit for bearing children. So I have a girlfriend in Los Angeles, and we've talked about it a little bit, and she said that she would carry the children. So.
For you? You're sorted. You got to carry. You have a womb ready, at the ready. That's so
my
good.
loving girlfriend, bless her heart.
That's so nice of her. Okay, so when was the first stirrings of you could model? And then tell me about how you got to do it.
I think I was honestly inspired when I was little from, like, the show America's Next Top Model. I used to watch that a lot with my sister, actually. That's probably how we, like, slowly started to bond more. Yeah.
Oh, and the blonde, you had that in common. Right, okay.
Yeah, so, I don't know, I think I'd considered it, like, when I was really little, but... my parents were like, oh, you know, whatever.
They dismissed it.
And I ended up acting and doing, like, musicals and stage plays for a while.
Now, did that follow on from dance? In other words, it's performance, right?
Yeah, so I had taken a break from dance.
Was it ballet, did you say you started with?
Yeah, I did like, ballet, and I took one tap. I remember feeling like an eggplant.
It wasn't for you.
I think we were supposed to be grapes. It was like some weird, like, purple, like, thing, green leaf hat.
Yeah. And you only went with the colour, but not the shape of the grape. You became long and elongated.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Eggplant.
Yeah, that's how I felt. That's
such a funny word, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, when you think about it.
Yeah, you would think an eggplant would be like yellow or something.
White or something.
Yeah. But
Oh, what was that bang? So dance.
Then acting.
At what age?
In like the end of elementary school and middle school, so probably like I probably started when I was like 8 or 9 and then did it throughout until I was like 13 or 14.
Okay.
So like until
the end of your the second part of your childhood.
So right when I was getting into high school, I switched back over and started dancing again.
Okay.
Because I really missed it and was considering doing the cheerleading at my high school or dance team, but ultimately decided not to.
Was that competitive? Did you know all the girls? What were you like in high school? Tell me about that. Were you popular? Where were you? Where did you come in the?
I don't don't think that I was popular in high school. I think that I had like a group of friends, and it was not very cliquey, but like kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were talking to your friends and someone came up who you guys didn't know, it was just kind of like,
Right, a bit tribal.
can we help you?
Right, so were you the mean girls? Were you the mean girls?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was like very awkward and
But there were mean girls there doing their thing or not?
Not like specifically,
Okay.
but everyone just kind of like had that attitude towards people.
Right.
But yeah, it was ultimately, I really enjoyed my high school career just because it was like a lot of good experiences,
Okay,
a lot of
good.
good and different experiences. But yeah,
So you
back
went
to,
from watching America's Next Top Model with your sister, and that gave you the idea that you'd actually quite like to do that.
Yeah, it always seemed really fun. And then I like was never, I don't think, taken seriously when I was a kid. But then once I was in high school and I started, you know, kind of like accepting myself and like how to feel beautiful, you know, like for like being my own person in my own body.
Did that imply that you didn't before?
Yeah, just because the community I grew up in was like a lot of first generation from like Nigeria and Sierra Leone, so I was like the like awkward scrawny girl of everyone, like.
And white.
Yeah. Yeah.
So were you the only white girl at a black school?
Not the only, but it's like if you said, oh, that little blonde girl. You could only be talking about me or like one other girl usually.
Wow, that's amazing in itself. Yeah. So you felt like a minority.
Yeah.
Throughout your whole education?
I don't know. A lot of times I never like realized it, but like sometimes I would be in a classroom and then like someone would lean over to me and be like, "You're the only white one here."
Wow.
And then I was like, okay. So,
right.
Like,
wow.
Yeah.
I saw a movie with Tallulah the other day. It was one of those famous dance ones. Get it off. Get it off. One of those dancey ones. And it was Julia Stiles.
Okay.
And she was a ballerina and she went to she went to live with her father at an urban school, and she was the only white girl in the school. And then it was she falls in love with the brother of her best friend and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It was actually really good. And I've seen a lot of those, as you can imagine. I enjoyed it. But yeah, there's a different kind of dynamic there.
Yeah.
So how did you overcome so you felt you didn't have the necessary body in relation to your peers.
Yeah, so I felt like I hit like puberty really late, and then just like I was different, you know.
So how was your dating life? Talk to us about your love life. How was that? How did that go?
I think that relationships in like middle school and anything don't really count.
They don't count.
But I was in a long-term relationship for 3 years.
Okay. From what age to what age?
It was like freshman year to junior year, like in the middle of junior year, because that's when I moved to Los Angeles, and that was...
Oh, a different world?
Yeah.
It was a different world. Why did you move again? Why did your mum move?
Well, my mom, I was 17 at the time, and I had a manager for acting in Baltimore, Maryland.
Wow.
And he said that he was going to move his company out to Los Angeles.
Okay.
So he was like, you should come to Los Angeles for a month, and see how you like it. And I had been casted in a TV show that ended up not airing. But so I had just started doing homeschooling already. So to spend a month in Los Angeles was a lot easier since I was homeschooling and not still in my public school. So I was there for a month, and then I just never left.
Okay, so
I moved there.
There are little choices to be made between your being at high school, you continuing with the acting, to you taking it so seriously that you actually considered it to be a profession, that your parents were on board, right?
And I was 17,
How did you convince them?
Just by, expressing to them that I really wanted it, and that I was ready to actually do something with my life, Like, I think that they could tell that I, wasn't going to live in Bowie, Maryland for my whole life. But yeah, like...
was finding a manager straightforward? What was the process of... how do you go about doing that?
I went to, like, an open casting call for Wilhelmina in Pennsylvania.
Which is modeling.
Yes, with my grandma.
This is how the first thing happened?
Yeah.
Okay,
so then I had been signed up on, like, online websites, like, for acting as well. And so through them telling me to sign up for these online websites and going to some things, like, on my own, because you can submit for things by yourself on certain websites, I met someone in Baltimore who was a manager for acting. So I was able to sign a contract with them and then still be signed with Wilhelmina in Pennsylvania, but then I moved to Los Angeles, like, 3 months later.
Okay, so you getting signed, how did that happen? Tell me exactly the step-by-step so that the audience can get a good grasp of how it happens.
I saw online that Wilhelmina was going to be doing, like, an open model call. Anybody could show up. And so I went with my grandma, and we stood in line in the mall for, like, 2 hours. And originally, I'm 5'7", but 5'8".
Kate Moss is what, 5'6", 7?
Yeah, but I've always just been told that I was too short. But they still had me come back and meet with them in Pennsylvania and sign with them there around Philadelphia. I think their office was, like, just outside.
How did you feel about this?
I really enjoyed it. I felt like it was my first, like, step of my parents really taking me seriously, showing...
Did the person know that they wanted to represent you immediately, Wilhelmina?
I think so.
How many girls were called back? What was the do you remember any of that?
Yeah, I think...
So from the mall, you turn up with how many girls there?
The mall, there was, like, probably 200 girls.
Okay, so then what happens?
Then, I think, like, a couple weeks later, I went into their office.
They emailed
for kind
you?
of like, yeah, for kind of like an orientation type of thing. So I think they had just brought on a lot of new faces, and there was probably, like, 30 people there. And they even set up, because, after, like, discussing with them about, like, my goals in terms of, like, modeling and acting, they were able to set up, like, some acting workshops for me to take in Baltimore.
Oh, wow.
So that I wouldn't have to drive all the way to Philadelphia, which is, like, 2.5 hours from Maryland, where I lived.
Before they signed you, when that moment came, how did it come and how did you feel? Did you feel, this is it, I'm starting my life now, this is vindication?
Yeah.
I'm beautiful, I can be a model, and I can act, and I can rule the world?
It still felt like I wasn't quite there yet. Like,
did you feel lucky? Were you excited?
Did. Yeah, I was very excited and, like, very almost shocked,
Do you remember the moment they said, we'd like you to be a model? Or we'd like to...
I think they had called me on the phone.
Okay.
So I think I was talking to them on the phone. And yeah, it was very exciting, like...
Was your mum there?
Never guess. Yeah. Yeah, so that's great. She's been with me, like, throughout everything. Any good news or anything that happens,
Yes.
She's the first to hear about it, so...
Did your dance background help in any way, shape or form?
I think so. I think just being like aware of my body and how it moves, and I use dance kind of like to overcome my awkwardness with my body.
Are you then? Do you still feel that you have an awkwardness?
A little bit.
Physical awkwardness?
Yeah, but I think everybody feels like that. I think everybody sometimes feels like my body doesn't move that way.
Right.
Or like this doesn't feel natural.
Uh-huh.
But now I know what my body can and can't do. You know, like I know what looks good, and I can kind of like visualize better, you know.
Yourself in space.
Exactly.
So what was the first job? What was the first time that you were sent out to go and either get paid or at least to get shot?
Yeah, with the Wilhelmina in Philadelphia, I didn't really get a chance to even go on any castings. I just did like one test shoot with them. So my first job was in Los Angeles, and it was for a haunted house TV show. I played a ghost.
Wicked. A teen ghost?
Yeah.
Because you're teen. Mm-hmm. You're going up for all those teen shows.
Yeah.
Pilot season and all that stuff?
A little bit, yeah. So I'd like...
So you didn't do any acting at all on the East Coast?
Mm-mm.
So your career...
Except for like theater, musicals. So like really big acting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Paid gigs?
No.
Not professional?
No.
So your professional time started in earnest in Los Angeles?
Yes.
Okay. So what was the move like? What was it being in the sunshine? Where did you live in LA?
It was... I first stayed for the first month that I was there in Hollywood.
With your mum? Your mum
Airbnb.
went out with you?
Yeah, because
Which
I
is
was
a big
17,
deal.
right? It's so
Good old
supportive.
mum.
Yeah, amazing.
I mean, you remember Hilary Swank and her mum lived out of the car?
Yeah, like
Right.
crazy, you know, so yeah.
Okay.
My mom's great. I can't stress that enough.
Right, so the manager got you castings? Castings?
Yeah,
Acting
and he
castings?
even was able to set up meetings with different agencies for modeling and acting, because he was a management company, which was different, and he didn't really have as much of a foot in the door in Los Angeles as he did in Maryland, you know.
So it was new for him too.
Yeah, but he was still able to, you know, get in contact with a lot of people, so I met with like a bunch of different agencies for acting and modeling. Some saying I wasn't experienced enough, and some saying I wasn't tall enough. But ultimately I ended up signing with a youth agency out there because they got me an audition for Days of Our Lives.
Amazing. That's classic.
Yeah, so I had an audition with like a major casting director, and I had met with all these agencies in the first month that I was in Los Angeles, and like the weather was beautiful. Because Maryland is very, like, humid in terms of the heat, and there it's, like, more dry.
Yeah, good old LA.
I just, like, fell in love with Los Angeles, you know. I was just so excited. And my manager told me, he was like, you know, if you go back to Maryland, all of these opportunities are just going to disappear.
Right, of course, immediately.
Yeah.
Now, this manager, how important is it to have a good relationship with him? What's he like? What do you expect of a manager now? Do you have more perspective now? What are the qualities that someone should get from a manager or appreciate?
I would say from that experience with that manager is to not get too close to your managers, because since we had both kind of just moved out to Los Angeles, and he had another girl who was his talent for singing, like staying in his apartment with his wife. And so we would end up just going out to eat with everyone a lot, and like doing, you know, touristy things together, and
you become sort of family.
Yeah, but it was
is it too close?
Just unprofessional.
You need a professional distance.
Yeah, and
to avoid all sorts of complications emotionally later.
Yes.
Was that inevitable in this case?
I think so. Not necessarily in terms of my relationship, but like the overall relationship, you know, then, because like I think my father invested more money in him than he should have. And then...
What? In you? Through him?
Basically, yeah. But,
Right.
like, in his company,
Oh, I
like,
see.
not specifically
Oh, right.
for me. Because he was a great talker, You believed what he said, but then at the end of the day, it was all just words.
Okay,
You
so
know?
even though, give him his credit,
Of course, yeah.
he got you all of those intros to people.
Yeah, he started everything,
He started everything.
but nothing was ever
It didn't.
finished through him.
Okay, so the finish, but isn't the finish, this is my question, isn't the finish ultimately in your hands as the model, talent, whatever? That
Yeah.
you have the power, given that the door is open and you see that casting director, to book the job.
Yeah, no, definitely, but like it would be things like even he'll still message me sometimes randomly with things and say he's been in contact with these people and he's working on like getting me in front of them, and I'm like, okay, great, I'm available, if he asks me for photos or anything, I'll send them to him like immediately, my current resume, whatever. And then it's like I don't hear anything back, so I message him like, what's the status, and he's like, oh, I don't know, doing something.
Right.
And then it's like the day of, and I say, okay, like, I've left my schedule clear
Yeah.
for this. And he's like, well, I'm meeting with them, so
Right.
maybe I'll let you know.
So not enough communication from him.
Yeah. And I think, like...
Are you locked into a contract?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore.
So you're a free agent, you can work with whoever you like.
Yes. In
So-
terms of acting.
Okay, so you didn't... Okay, so let's go back. So teenage years happened. You didn't have any boyfriends that you were leaving back at home.
No, I did. I was in a...
Your 3-year relationship.
Yeah.
And that's why it was 3 years and not 4 years or
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah.
So that ended when you moved. Mm-hmm. And how did that end, and who engineered it, and was it just obvious because of the situation?
Well, we met in middle school, and our older sisters knew each other because they were on the dance team in high school together. So, like, we were friends in middle school, and then freshman year, his family actually moved away. So we started the first 2 years of our relationship long distance. So we had kind of gotten used to that, and then shortly he finally moved back right before junior year. So we had been dating for 2 years, and then we're finally, like, together,
Was that difficult, having a long-distance relationship?
It was. I think it ultimately made the whole relationship unhealthy, and we became kind of, like, codependent.
It took its toll.
Yeah. It was very stressful.
Did it have to be so? Or was it because of the parties involved?
I think it was because we didn't really know what we were doing, and
Youth.
we wanted to love each other so much, but like ultimately what I had said in the end was just that the universe doesn't want us to be together, because then shortly after we were living in the same town, I moved across the country. So then it was like I didn't want to do a long-distance relationship again.
Fair enough.
Like, we knew that we could do it, but it's like...
It was too much.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't going to be good for me and my career when I'm experiencing all these new things. And, like, he still had another year of high school and then had to start focusing on himself and college. And I just said, like...
Clean.
We just can't do
break.
it. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was it like being in Hollywood? Is it daunting that there are so many other people like you getting off the Greyhound buses every day with exactly the same goals and competition and all the rest of it?
A little bit.
Or is it exciting in that it's quite a young town always for that reason?
Yeah, and I, of course, was like a little intimidated because I'm fresh out of high school, like... no experience, and feeling like everybody else who walks down the street is more beautiful than I am, but I got a lot of really great support and encouragement from my family and my friends, and just learned early on not to be put down by being told no, you know? Like, you get a lot of rejection, but don't take it personally.
In both areas?
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a preference at the moment if you could only choose one or the other?
At the moment, I would choose modeling because the reason why I haven't been doing as much acting lately is because I'm still in school. I'm a dance major, so I'm still dancing. Yeah.
Wicked.
But
what kind of dancing now?
I still take ballet, although I'm experiencing more modern dance, which is really awesome. I never, learned it as a child, but now, I love it.
Tallulah is into dance. She goes on Saturdays mornings for 3 hours. Ballet, our ballet, then modern and jazz. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, there are all of these incredible YouTube videos of these dance companies that take tracks and do dances and choreography too. And I must say, the overall level of talent, I think, because of shows like So You Think You Can Dance and all of that stuff, is enormous in this country.
Yeah.
I think it's what America does best. I think it's one of its great gifts to the world, dancing. And that, again, that you must think, shit, there are so many incredible geniuses out there.
Yeah, and I did competitive dance growing
Did you?
up. Yeah, so I kind
What's
of
competitive?
knew...
Is that Maddie, what's her name? Dance Mums.
Yeah.
It's Dance Mums.
Basically. Except that it's, it's
That's
a TV show.
great.
So it's not quite like that.
But it was that.
Yeah. Yeah, so
were you ever at those kinds of competitions with those girls?
There was a couple of times our studio, CNC.
Oh, wicked.
They
Is
were
that California?
No, it's the names of the mother-daughter, Cheryl and Carrie.
Is that your thing? Oh, the
studio.
The studio.
That was the studio, yeah. But there was a couple of times our dance studio was supposed to compete against them, but it's not really fair to compete against them because they record it, so the girls get to do their dances on stage 2 or 3 times sometimes.
They get more practice.
Yeah.
They're literally doing it more.
Yeah, literally.
Because
the
they're
judges,
being filmed.
Yeah, and the judges see it. They don't judge them each time. They only really watch it once, but it's yeah. So we've pulled from competitions and joined other competitions at the last minute to avoid competing against them.
So it's exactly the same kind of moves? With a bit of acro dance and all of that stuff?
Yeah, very kind of
what's that called, that style? Is there a...
I think it's just
competitive
dance. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, and I never competed with ballet or anything like that, but we still would take it 3 times a week for the technique.
To be as good as them, because the other thing that I obviously think is that those girls are homeschooled, perhaps, and that their whole life is doing that every day, all day.
Yeah.
Is it?
I mean, I knew some girls who would be in 20 dances for a season. And yeah, I mean, they would still go to public school, but as soon as they were out of school, they would be at the studio until 10 or 11 p.m.
Wow. So
doing their homework in the 15 minutes they have between classes, and yeah.
Do you think you have to practice and be doing it that much to be that good? Obviously not, because you were competitive and you were doing it less.
Yeah. But I also, I don't know, it's very stressful to be there a lot, and it's expensive to be in a lot of dances.
That's right.
So
do you have to pay for each dance that you are in? Or is it just the fees of the lessons?
I think, yeah, it's when you're on, they don't have all of the dancers there competing, but you audition to be on the competitive team. And it's you have to be in 2 dances. You have to be in 1 jazz dance and 1 lyrical dance. And I honestly don't remember how the payment went, but it was probably each dance that you are in, you pay a fee for the class. And then you also have to pay for costumes.
Okay, so it really adds up.
Yeah.
So how much do you think the average competitive dance mum is paying for her daughter to be doing this a year?
At least $1,000. Like, at the very least.
Oh, at the very least, I would have thought
But,
that.
like, some girls probably end up spending, like, close to $9,000 or $10,000 in a season.
Yeah,
you know?
in a season.
Yeah, because
Okay.
a lot of times, especially if you do, like, a lot of solo dances, they had a seamstress who would make, like, custom
I see.
things for the girls.
Right. So, what was your rehearsal schedule?
I would usually be in about like 5 or 6 dances. So, I think I would be there every weekday, except Fridays. I don't think I went on Fridays.
Every day.
Yeah, for at least 3 hours. Sometimes like 4.
Every day every weekday for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
For how many years? How many years have you done this? That kind of intensity.
I think I did it for 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah, and then the last year before I moved to Los Angeles, I stopped competing and just took 1 hour every week with the ballet instructor, private lessons. Because
So why did you stop? Did you get burnt out for competing?
I just didn't want to do it anymore. I think that's when I realized that I didn't want to be a professional dancer, you know? I was tired of feeling like I had to compete against these other girls and get ahead, and sometimes the like environment is kind of toxic. And when I was dancing as a little kid, I didn't realize, but like there's an open window night, you know? So like I remember once I was in high school, like walking through the hall, it's like all the moms are staring out into the classroom with all of their daughters who are like 12 and 13 years old. And the moms are sitting there like talking about these girls. Like, I don't know why they would put her in front. Like, her turns are better. Like, I don't...
So it's dance mums.
Yeah.
It's as heinous behaviour as that.
Yeah.
And that is really outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think I just, not necessarily got burnt out, but I just got tired of it.
Do you think Maddie Ziegler is incredibly talented?
I think that she is a great dancer, yeah.
She's a great dancer, isn't she?
Yeah.
And those Sia videos are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
she is amazing in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I learned once I started taking classes in college that when you're dancing and you've trained with the same people like your whole life, you're like accustomed to their movement.
And maybe they can't do other things.
Yeah, so like when I started taking classes in college, you know, it was a different type of ballet that I was taking, so I had to like completely relearn my whole body.
Wow.
And I had never taken modern before, and it was really feeling awkward, you know, at first, but then now I just like love it and am able to like release myself to the music.
So cool.
Rather than like following like a strict.
Right. So you're not a dancer anymore?
I am a dancer, but not looking to be a professional dancer.
Okay,
yeah.
yes. You'll
I
have
would rather choreograph.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you good at that?
I think so. I took a choreography class last semester, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay, so if someone called and said, we want you to be on the next season of a show like Dance Mums, a reality TV show about dance, would you do that?
No.
You would not do it?
No.
Even though it would be seen by millions and up your profile?
Yeah, I just...
You'd say no to the universe if that's what it delivered next week?
Yeah, just because I don't know, I don't think I would want to be associated with a reality thing like that, you know?
Yeah.
Because then for the rest of my life, you know, it wouldn't matter how great of pieces and like groundbreaking I created in the past. It would always be like, oh, that girl from that show, right?
I see.
You know?
Right.
Like, I would rather...
Keep some credibility.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Keep
build myself up, and with the connections that I've made now in my career.
Are the girls, we're talking about modelling and you being shorter than the average model maybe, are they all like you in terms of dance? In the dance competitions, do you have that body that they all have, kind of, the same sort of height and shape?
Yeah, I think dancers tend to be a little bit shorter. So I was kind of like a taller girl.
Oh, you
in
were?
Dance. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like not the tallest, but I would not necessarily be in the front. You know, I'd usually be in like the middle or the back because of my height. But yeah.
So they're tiny, petite, like gymnasts, like just low center of gravity kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But like I'm also like the second tallest woman in my family on my mom's side. So I grew up always hearing that I was really tall, you know, and then it just kind of like switched. Like, oh no, you're short. You're short.
Right.
But I look tall, I think, because of dance and
you're bearing the carriage that you have.
Yeah, I have long limbs.
You're right. You're long. You're elongated from all that stretching.
Yeah.
So, where are we now? We went to Los Angeles. Are we back from Los Angeles now? Where are we?
I'm here for a month to do Fashion Week shows.
Okay.
So this is my first time being in New York for work. I've come here for like touristy things.
Okay. So what prompted that move? How long have you been in Los Angeles for now? Give me the time.
About 3 years.
Okay. So what prompted this move to New York, do you think?
Well, I'm not moving here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just
You're
be here for a
dipping the
month.
toe
Yeah.
in and seeing how it goes?
Going back to the warm weather. Yeah. So...
You're seeing how it goes?
Yeah. I had been booked for a job here in New York because the company thought that I was based in New York, and it was right before Christmas. So this was like about a month ago. And so yeah, I had already planned to be going back to Maryland to visit my family for a week. And then the company realized, like my manager in Los Angeles realized as well as the people, that I was not in New York. But they were like, we still, you know, want you for this job. And I checked, and like to change my ticket to like a few days earlier and to fly into New York was only like $50. So I ended up being able to make that job. Yeah. So I think once that happened, my manager just like they just kept sending my stuff out, you know, to different agencies out here to see if anyone was interested.
And that's how Silent got you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
So then
that's how it works.
I found out like 2 days before I had to leave. Basically, they were like, would you be willing to go to New York for like a month? And I was like, yeah, you know, my school semester starts February 20th, so I'd like to be back for that. But
so school,
it worked
you're at college.
perfectly. Yeah.
Would you take more time off school if the right opportunities came along?
I think so. I would be willing to. I don't think my father likes that idea, but it's not his life.
Exactly. Get it while you can, I say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Is he paying for college?
He is.
Okay.
Yeah. But I pay for my rent and everything else.
Right. Okay. So the acting, how did the pilot come to be? Was it a pilot that you got a job on that didn't happen, or was it an episode that had already started in a series?
Yeah, it was an episode kind of mid-series.
Was that exciting?
Yeah, it was so
You thought
exciting.
that was your big break?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I knew that, like, you know, you never really see ghosts a lot. Like, it's always just, like, a quick
Oh,
thing
I see.
in terms of,
Okay,
like,
yeah. It
how
wasn't
much
speaking?
camera time. No,
Oh,
I
okay.
screamed.
Okay, yeah.
I screamed.
Screaming's important.
Yeah. But it was my first, like,
You should be
experience being on set. And,
Oh,
like,
wow, yeah.
being with other actors and, like, figuring out...
Oh, you did it?
Like, yeah,
Right,
I did it.
right,
Yeah, and
okay.
it was awesome, and I loved it.
So you want more of that, really?
Yeah. Yeah. But it just... Acting is a full-time job, you know, and I can't be a full-time student and a full-time actor.
No.
So I decided to just, you know, set the acting down for a moment and finish my education, and I can always revisit it and go back.
Acting, yes, of course. You don't feel psychologically that you'd be missing out?
You know, I think that whatever opportunity I'm able to, you know, take, then that's my chance. But until then, everything else is meant for another person. You know,
Right.
like everyone has that big break kind of thing, you know, that's really meant for them. And, you know, I'm just preparing myself for that.
What's your philosophy of life? Does it tie into that at all?
I think a little bit, you know. I'm still figuring it out, you know. I'm only 20. But
what makes you happy? What do you think it's all about? How do you see life going in a way that is fulfilling? Exactly. Just give me the what makes you happy. That's simple enough.
I think
what's the perfect day? How are you most at peace, at enjoy? What makes you happy?
Knowing, I think, what you want to do and what you are able to do, I think is really important, and not being worried or stressed out, you know? Like, there's always things that will be stressful and that you have no control over, but when you find the things that you can control, even if it's the tiniest thing, to just accept that, you know, you're only able to do what you can. You know, like, don't try to achieve something that you have no control over. You know, so I feel like just accepting, like, how I came to accept myself and feel beautiful being myself is, I feel like, the same with life. I heard a quote recently, and I forget who it was, but it was something like, life is difficult, and once we accept that, then we're able to see how beautiful it is. You know, like, the difficulty is a part of life, and sometimes we can't control it, but we can always control our reaction to things. You know, even if it's not us who caused this to happen, like, we still have control over ourselves, you know?
Right. So don't worry about the things you have no control over.
Yeah. And when the moment's right, it'll happen.
That's great. Are you looking for a partnership, love, boyfriends?
I have a girlfriend.
You have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
I met her I live in a town called Glendale, right outside of Los Angeles.
Is that an industry town? I mean, are there...
Not really.
No,
it's a
not.
Big, like, cars. There's, like, a bunch of, like, car dealerships.
Okay.
And, yeah, like, repair.
Is it the Valley?
Stuff.
Is it the...
Yeah.
It's technically the Valley.
Yeah. It's, like, the eastern part of the Valley, right next to Burbank.
Right.
But, yeah, so I met Eden through mutual friends at the Glendale Community College.
Right.
And I just always thought that she was, like, so cool.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What makes a cool girl for you? Define what a cool girl is.
She just, you know, wasn't
Are you a cool girl?
afraid.
Are you a cool... Would you put yourself...
So.
You do?
I think I'm cool.
Uh-huh. What makes you cool?
Yeah, she's not afraid to be herself, you know, and whenever she would, like, come into the group of friends, everyone would always be, like, so excited to see her, and, like, they would always have something to share with her.
She's got
like,
charisma?
Yeah. Yeah, and she, like, grew up in, I think, a really rough environment, but, like, I say that she's, like, a rose in a dead garden.
Oh, wow.
You know, and she's the first person who told me that you're only a product of your environment if you choose to be. You know, because she believes that if she, like, let herself be a product of her environment, she would, you know, be a drug addict or homeless or something like that. But yeah, I think she's amazing. I love how she views life, and yeah, she's kind of like a good voice of reason in a sense, you know, like if I am looking for advice but I don't want to, like, go to my parents about it, she's still able to be one of those voices to say, but, you know, consider this side of it, you know.
What's her sign?
She's a Sagittarius.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
I'm married a Sagittarius.
What sign are you?
They're cool. I'm Leo.
Leo. Okay. Nice.
Fiery.
Yeah.
Is she
Why?
fiery?
Yeah.
Just
Which is good because I'm very indecisive, you know. So she'll be like, okay, then we're going to do this.
That's great. Exactly.
Yeah,
that's
like,
right.
Yeah.
They don't mess about. They're very goal orientated as well. They want to know what's out over that hill
Yeah.
and go and explore it.
Yeah. So that's
Cool. Is she into dance and stuff?
No, she played softball in
wow.
high school.
Okay.
So
is she an athlete? Do you have that in common?
Not currently, but we'll
Okay.
like go on like hikes together.
Right.
And we'll do like outdoorsy stuff.
That's
Camp at the
cool.
beach or like in the desert with our friends. So it's a lot.
Cool.
It's awesome.
So so describe to me the perfect day.
Okay. Probably not waking up very early, just like with the sun.
That's common for models.
Yeah.
Sleep in.
Yeah.
What time is that?
Probably about like 10.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't like to sleep in too late because then I've wasted a beautiful day. You
Right,
know?
exactly.
Especially in California. Every day is a beautiful day.
That's right. Life's for living.
Yeah. And then I don't know, just like I like to cook. So hopefully I would cook one meal, whether it's breakfast or dinner. But yeah, seeing friends.
Okay, so quite low key.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
so different to the life you could live every day now.
But it's warmer there.
It's just warmer and it's a bit later on.
Yeah.
to wake up. That's great. What else do I need to ask? I forget. I'm so in the moment a lot of the time. So yes, this is the question I ask: is what you want out of modelling? What would be the ideal job that if you got a call from your booker, what would it be? What are your goals? What are your fashion dreams?
Yeah,
What are they made
I
of?
think it would be awesome to have like a spread in a magazine, you
Okay.
know, that has like a small article about myself that I can like have someone go to the store and like pick up a magazine and be like, oh my god, I went to school with her, or like I had this, like I know her, you know, kind of thing.
Would it be enough that you were in a model in the magazine in an editorial, or would you want it to be about you with a write-up and a whole interview?
Kind of both, you know. I think if I was like just in a large spread that wasn't about me, but I was kind of like a featured face in the spread, I think that would be like equivalent in a sense, you know.
So
in terms
that
of
should be
getting there.
that's easy.
Yeah.
And then you're going to do the walking and the fashion shows
Yeah.
coming up.
and
What about
that's gonna be a
campaigns?
big
What would
milestone.
what in your mind? What's the ultimate making it for you?
I don't know. I guess just like any of like the big names, you know, that someone who wouldn't be into fashion would still recognize.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
sometimes I'll tell my parents like, "Oh, I have a casting for this person," and it's like a familiar name for me.
They don't know it.
Yeah.
So this inevitably means Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, I guess so.
What
Although I
are
don't
the
think
brands that sort of transcend the industry and that everybody will know? Give
I
me an
think,
example of something.
like Versace,
Okay.
or Chanel,
Okay.
or Dior.
Right. Okay, those three.
Yeah, I think those are big ones.
So tackle those next.
Yeah.
So that's next. And campaigns?
Like in terms of
Oh yeah, those for them.
yeah, yeah,
A Chanel campaign.
yeah. That would be awesome.
Magazines?
Yeah, that would
The
be
usual
fun.
ones, the ones that they can go to at the supermarket
Yeah,
and
like
see you in.
to be in
Vogue, Elle, and all of those ones.
right. Yeah, Vogue, Elle, yeah, Marie Claire. I'm still
Good.
like young, you know, so I
Yeah.
could still be in 17, I think.
Sure. Teen Vogue
yeah.
when it
Yeah.
existed. It's gone now.
Yeah, I remember those tiny little issues.
So tell me about the whole social media thing now and what you're doing to be able to push that. And do you think it's a necessity that more and more that is something you have to work on?
I do, actually, because even when I would go on acting auditions sometimes, every once in a while they would be like, do you have a social media following? Like, put your account name here. And
that's
I
acting.
deleted and remade my Instagram when I moved out to Los Angeles. So I was like just starting fresh. I had like, you know, less than 1,000 followers. And I have like 5,000 followers now, which is good.
That's good.
And I, you know, for a while felt like I was just kind of like posting stuff for myself. But then I got scouted with my agency in Los Angeles through Instagram.
Is that right?
And they're my mother agency too. And
so it worked.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you figure out a way to market yourself and still show like your personality. Like I don't like posting just pictures of my face. I get tired of seeing my face. I'm sure other people do too.
Selfies. But they're popular, the selfies.
Yeah, yeah. But I like to post like other things that will make people think or like other beautiful things,
sure.
you know. But yeah, I do think that it's very important and getting like more and more important as
we go on.
Yeah, as it progresses.
Great. So what... maybe we'll do another section now. I don't want to forget things. And I haven't had lunch. So that's why my brain is creaking to a halt. Oh, shit. Okay, so... I had a question and it's gone.
It's okay. If it's meant to be, you'll think of it again.
In the next section, maybe. Before we go. Okay, yeah, what makes you a good model?
I think...
What are you bringing to the table? Why should anyone work with you, book you? What are they going to get?
I know my body and, you know, my movement because of dance. I think I have a very, like, angular face. Like, a lot of pictures I'll get back and it's like... I've never seen myself look like that, you know? So, like, depending on how I'm being shot or styled in something, I can have, like, completely different looks.
Therefore versatile.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I also think that I'm just, like...
You're a cool girl, aren't you? You're a cool girl.
On set,
I'm going to look at your book. Let's do that. When in doubt, go to the book. How do I scroll this down?
Yeah.
Wicked. Look, there's a bit of a dance move here.
And those are my Doc Marten shoes that I've had for like 5 years.
That's so good. They've lasted well. Good old DMs. Beautiful. Really good. You're going to have a good show season.
I'm
excited.
That's
starting. That's in a week. Are you already seeing clients? Are they already?
Not yet. I think I saw someone... It's like they don't really tell you exactly what it's for. But, yeah, I met with someone yesterday.
Okay.
Which I believe was for a Fashion Week casting.
Okay, and you're going to meet all the casting directors and stuff.
Yeah.
How exciting.
I'm so excited.
Alexandra, I'm so excited for you.
Thanks.
It's all going to happen in New York.
Yeah.
This season.
My family thinks that it's really funny, since I'm from the East Coast,
yes.
that I moved all the way to Los Angeles just to come back.
It's always the same. Prodigal daughter returns. You're a cool girl. Alexandra, you're so
back
cool.
On the East Coast.
I love it. Really nice, really strong, and really for now as well. I think you got a very modern now face. I think that's really beautiful. And so... I don't know if there's glare there. I can't see from there, but I think you're going to do really well.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming and sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you for having
your
me.
Story.
Yeah, this is awesome.
That's so lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alexandra, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Michael.
I'll ask you other questions now. See you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.